Open Records Act, Open Meeting Act, so we could be involved in the process. The commission's funded by legislative appropriation, like any other state agency. Commissioners is a volunteer position, but you would be compensated for your time and travel, so you get a per diem. It's the same per diem the legislators get. The commission is required, and would be required by the Constitution, to hold at least one meeting in each of the congressional districts. They can certainly hold more, and I expect that they would, but the minimum threshold is they have to, which that alone is a big contrast, because right now the politicians don't have to hold any public meetings. Sometimes they will, which is great. I mean, I would appreciate that, but even if they hold public meetings now, they don't have to listen to us. Like, they can hold the meeting and say, thank you for your input, but at the end of the day, it's still politicians drawing their own districts, right? And that's the thing we want to change. And so, also the public with this commission would have access to all the data. We could download the data. There's some free tools out there where you could draw your own maps, and you could submit your maps to the commission for consideration. So there's a process up front where we would participate and, do town hall meetings and share information with the commissioners, and they're required to listen to us and to take that into consideration. And we can even be more involved and submit maps ourselves if we really wanted to. You tell I'm big on public input, it's a big deal. If you're interested, you can read the full policy. It's on our website. There are more details in there. peoplenotpoliticians.org is the website. If you go to click Learn More, halfway down the page it says Read Policy. It's a big PDF, you can read it there. Folks are writing, so I'll give them a second. Just some timeline. So we filed a petition on October 28th. Last week, we got sued, right? So the politicians that are in power want to keep their power so much that they sued us. I got the letter in the mail today. I knew it was coming, so I saw the news, but it was still sobering to be like, oh, I'm a defendant in a case before the state Supreme Court. They really don't want to lose their power. So we gotta go to court first. That'll be in a few weeks. We think that it's set the date yet, sometime hopefully next month. Once we get through that, I'm confident that we'll get past that. And then once that's all done, then we get to collect signatures, which is the fun part, or stressful part, depending on your perspective. I'll be the optimist, right?
Stressful would be fun too.
Right. We have to collect 178,000 signatures, and we have 90 days to do it. So if you want to be involved, if it's something that you support, and I hope it is, we definitely need your help. Every signature counts. We've got people, we're driving around the state. We've been in, this is our eighth stop. So we've been everywhere from Woodward to Tulsa. We go to Enid soon, down South Oklahoma, Lawton, Ardmore, Ada, McAllister, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Norman, kind of going everywhere. And that's just what we've done the first month. Those are the ones we've scheduled. So what we really need from you all is invitations to come speak to your group. Like if you're part of a Rotary or a church group or a book club or whatever, just you've got 5 friends, you want to order Little Caesars and talk about politics. They'll think you're weird. It's okay. This is really a good topic. Because this isn't about politics. This is about unrigging the system that is currently rigged in favor of politicians and making it work for people again. So we do need your help. Just spreading information. Hopefully you guys learned something about the policy today, maybe something about redistricting. That was the whole goal. And chances are your friends need to know that information too, so they can be informed voters when this gets on the ballot. We would love to help with that. Also things like, writing letters to the editor. We've had people in a bunch of towns, I think even in Ardmore, that have submitted letters to the editor because they know about this and care about it. If you're interested in doing that, please let me know, or you can talk to Maggie over here. She's on our communications team and she'd love to help you do that. If you've never done it before, it can be scary. It's literally a letter. I think I'm writing it to my grandma, and it'll just be in the paper where grandma will hopefully read it, right? That's how it usually works. We'll need help with signature collection for sure, and then financial support. This is an effort by Oklahomans, for Oklahomans. This is, it's been in the paper that this is like a Democratic coup from Eric Holder or someone. That's not the case. I'm a counselor, we're trying to raise money, this is a big deal. So anything you give can really help. Even $5, in fact, you can text the word people to 33339 if you want, and give you a link to donate. You can go online. We've got envelopes in the back if you've got cash or check. If you want to leave that here today, that's cool too. Or you can write your credit card number on the envelope even. Anyway, we would really appreciate your support. We've received hundreds of donations already from people across the state. And it's really exciting to see this movement grow day by day, just for regular folks. Last night in McAllister, I was talking to some of the people that were there, and it was interesting. I joked that it's hard, the people that did the Medicaid expansion have stories of people who don't have health care. That's a compelling story, like their hospital closed. I've joked that no one's been personally victimized by gerrymandering, but I spoke to a woman who said, well, actually, you should talk to my daughter, because she had a friend that ran for state senate, or for state house, and she was very excited, was involved in the campaign and wanted to vote for her. And she realized that the district line stopped on her street, and that she couldn't vote for her because she was running in that district. And so we went to that street and took a picture and drove it, where like right down the middle, it's like a, two yellow lines, and that divides two districts, and otherwise it looks like any other neighborhood. And I thought, man, that's as close as we get to a story. But then talking to some other folks, I was reminded that arguably we're all victims of gerrymandering in some way. The fact that the system has been rigged this way for so long, from the beginning, that we as voters we think we're picking on politicians, and this rarely talked about mechanism means that politicians get to pick their own voters. And that is startling, right? That's the thing that is the wrong way to do it. And so what we're trying to do is to fix this, is to get the system back right so that it evens the playing field for us, the people. Regardless of your party affiliation, this is about us, it's not about politicians. It's about making the system fair, transparent. It's about drawing districts in a way that reflect where we live, not where they live. This is about taking the power back from them and not letting lobbyists, special interests, the dark money groups that have often a grip on the two parties, let them know that they don't control everything. This is up to us. So, all right, that's the end of my spiel. My voice is getting hoarse, I apologize. So the second one this week, I got a lozenge before 8 up. We've got, so it's about 7 till 7, well maybe 10 till, that clock is fast. I've got time for a few questions if you guys have anything. If not, that's cool. You guys are free to go if you'd like as well.
Go ahead.
Is this modeled after any other states?
Sure. Yes and no. When we set about sitting down to write this policy, we talked to we did a big review of all the states that have commissions and what's working and what's not, and to see kind of best practices. So it's not modeled after any specific state. Michigan's is similar, but not quite the same. We talked to the Brennan Center for Justice, which is a big national organization that this is their area of research, to kind of find out what's the best way to do it to ensure that it's fair for the people, right? So it's probably similar to Michigan, but not necessarily modeled after any. There's 14-ish states that have an independent commission or board, and there's roughly 14 different ways that they're done. Ours would be, I think the first one would be entirely independent from the legislature. Some of them still have some appointed positions, they had to make a deal with the legislators to get in. We can do that on purpose because it kind of waters it down.
How many of them were initial petition? Is this the only one? Is that the one?
No, so I can think of 4 from last year. Missouri, Utah, Michigan, Colorado were all just last year that did it. I think California and Arizona, I've had them for several times, at least for one cycle. They had them before 2011, and I don't remember if they were or not. I admittedly was not paying attention to politics back then, And I've read so much in the last 6 months that it's all a big mush in my head. But those four, because I've talked to people in those states to, see what it's been like and what's going. There are initiative petitions in other states, right now that they're working on. So Arkansas is working on one, Illinois, Oregon, I think Alaska, Virginia is doing one. Theirs is a whole different, theirs is interesting, right? So it was, in order to get it on the ballot in Virginia, it has to pass through their state assembly twice in the same format. So I passed it through once and it sailed through when it was controlled by Republicans, and then like last week, the power flipped, and so now Democrats hold the power, and I think Republicans are worried that they're not gonna, and probably the public are worried that the Democrats aren't gonna pass it because now they have power. And I think that highlights like, this is not a partisan issue, like both parties when they have power, suddenly things are very different. And so, so fingers crossed that Virginia does it too, but by the end of next year, I think there'll be almost half the states that have some kind of in commissioner board. Yeah, that was a longer answer than you bargained for. Yeah. Yes, sir.
The 9 people that are chosen, who do they answer to?
Well, they answer to us, the people. I mean, we are the.
They're not elected, are they?
They're not elected. They're drawn out of a hat, but you could apply. You could be one of them.
But what I'm saying is if we get tired of those guys, how do we go about getting rid of them and getting new guys?
So, I mean, it's important to know that it's not like a term, it's not like an elected office where they're in for so many years. They just do redistricting once and then they're done, and then the next time we do redistricting, we do
So
it
you're
again.
switching 9 guys every time you redistrict.
Right, once a decade, yeah.
Okay.
So it's done in different each time, yeah. Anything else, any other questions?
So what happens if they can't come to a general consensus?
The commission itself, then everything they've created, all the maps that have been submitted, go to the state Supreme Court, and they have to be the deciding factor. Yeah, the court decides, which is basically, I mean, what happens in most states anyways. If there's a disagreement, it ends up in the courts, someone sues, and it goes to the courts to decide. I mean, we've seen that most recently, I mean, just this year, North Carolina had a lawsuit. Pennsylvania was in the last couple of years as well, where they had to redraw maps, because there was a lawsuit, so, yeah. That's, Oklahoma has a fallback mechanism now, but it's never been used, because they've always, do it, so, yeah.
How many districts do we have now?
149 altogether.
149?
And 48 in the Senate.
How many are they proposing to have? If this passes, how many districts are they proposing to have?
The same number.
The same number? So them 9 guys are gonna, how are they gonna choose? Right now, we have however many districts you just said, picking where their districts are. So them 9 guys are gonna decide what town is in what district. I mean, because I can tell you right now, Courtney, Oklahoma, those guys down there have totally different views of what people here in Ardmore have.
Right.
And if we've got one guy picking, and he's lumping Ardmore and all of southern Oklahoma together,
Right.
then the guy from Courtney's not going to get he's not getting the same representation. I mean,
Right. Yeah, so that's a really good question. So there's like provisions in the policy, and I really encourage you to go and read the full thing. I'll put on a bunch of slides, but it's, they have to, when they redraw the districts, the commission's empowered to hire additional staff, because they're gonna need map making staff and, administrative staff just to gather papers and all that, to kind of help with that piece of it. And then they go around and do the public meetings, right? So they go around and try to meet with as many people as they can to find out, like, where they think lines should be drawn, where we identify our communities of interest. And then they have to draw districts that are equal in population, right? So each state house district has to have the same number of people. Right now, each one has 38,000-ish people. It'll be a little bigger because we've grown. State Senate's about twice as big, but it'll also get bigger. So they have to do that. And then they also have to look at historically where districts have been. And so they should draw districts that like more or less reflect where they are now, but they have to certainly kind of flex a little bit to reflect changes in population. And so when you look back at the maps, and again, I've only been able to find the ones from the previous go around. There's not huge changes. That was Senate districts. So there's not huge changes in most of them, but they do have to reflect, so that hopefully, you know, like a town like Courtney doesn't get drawn out or lumped into something else that's different, super different from what they are now.
But, okay, so they're saying, they're estimating that Tulsa and Oklahoma City, due to their populations, and with the census information that we're gonna get next year, because of the boots on the ground efforts in Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and the money, and I mean, lots and lots of money that they're spending to make sure every homeless person and every illegal alien is counted, because they get to count. That question was taken off. So they're standing to gain 2 to 4 representatives in those areas.
Where are they gonna pull those from?
Those will stay in Tulsa and Oklahoma City.
But what I'm saying, I mean, if they're gaining representatives, is somebody else losing representatives?
We could, depends on how the population, depends on how the census goes. The critical thing is that every individual, every farmer, every homeless guy under a bridge gets counted.
Right.
And even the undocumented people and all of their children have got to be counted.
Yeah, that's like when we were in Woodward last week. So that part of the state is one of the least densely populated, right? And so arguably like they would stand to like, their districts would just get bigger, if they're undercounted like they have been. But I think most of us probably know, like, areas like Diamond have, pretty large, like, undocumented populations. And I get it, I mean, if that was an undocumented person, I'd be skeptical about the census, but, it's like a weird, I think, for a lot of folks, like, this is the dynamic, like, you gotta count everyone that's in your borders,
Right.
so that you don't miss out, and I
Well,
think.
this was the last census, Oklahoma, only 68% of the people responded.
Yeah, something very
And
low.
so the guesstimation on the funds that were lost were between $2,000 and $4,000 per person in the state per year. In federal funds, that's roads, bridges, you know, whatever else we
Everything else,
draw
yeah.
money from.
And that is, on the state question 804,
Uh-huh.
are they, and I'm not for real sure, are they trying to do away with the census?
No,
the
no, so
census
that's,
count?
804 is us, no.
No, but so it's not trying to do away with census counting or anything like
No,
that?
and the census, I mean, that's in the US Constitution, so is redistricting, like, the US Constitution says.
I'm not saying not doing it, but they're taking away, are y'all taking away money to have it funded to do it, or is it gonna be
No, I mean,
voluntary based?
the census that's a federal thing that
Okay.
we don't touch. Personally, like, super for it, when we've been able to, we've had a census rep come with us to these things to talk about the census for the first, 15 minutes or so, because it's super important, regardless of where you live.
Absolutely.
It's a huge deal for Oklahoma. As I've like learned from all these census reps we've had, I'm like, every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I knew it was a big deal, but I think we forget how big of a deal it is, but it's a big deal. Because it affects all of us, right? Like, if we've got 4 million people in our state, just for a round number, and only 68% of them fill it out, well, then we get money for, it's like 2.5 million, right? Well, that's a bunch of people that basically weren't funded for it, so we have to spread the money out, and, it makes it hard to.
So, I mean, so that's something, when everybody complains about a pothole on I-35, keep that in mind. Because that person who didn't fill out their census will go to pay for that.
I'm gonna keep that in mind.
What are the objections in the lawsuit against the question?
Yeah,
What are
so,
they saying?
they filed a couple of things, I started reading through it today, I'm a counselor, not an attorney, so don't legal opinion. They basically said that it violates our First Amendment rights, and that it violates the single subject rule, because it involves state districts and federal districts. Single subject rule is typically what people challenge things on, because, any law might have more than one piece. That's rare. We have,
I don't think how you can separate them out, because the census is, the state doesn't do its own census.
right.
It's a federal.
Yeah.
So, on that, okay, so it's the state legislators that have brought this suit, or who?
No, not the
Who's actually brought this?
So that's a good question. If there's 3 people that are like the petitioners in it, and I don't know who's funding it, that's a good question. I saw that I assume there's a few groups out there that have money to pay for it, but, we'll find out how high power their attorney is, I guess. So we'll see. Well, I know just from a quick glance that one of the people is a legislator's wife, a former legislator's wife, which gets to it. Another person is a big donor for legislators. I think it's given over $20,000 in the last few years. And the other guy is with the farm, or used to be with the Farm Bureau, which has pretty close ties to the legislature. So I think it's a lot of, I think I'm not surprised, like in an issue that it's about politicians keeping their power, that they would call in their donors and spouses, and makes a lot of sense. They're gonna beg, borrow, and steal to keep
So
their power.
basically, this is brought by 3 individuals.
That's, yeah, they have to name it. Just, I mean, the same way, like, we have 3 names on when we filed the petition, but it's me and it's a teacher from Tulsa and a lady from the League of Women Voters, because we were 3 people that kind of spearheaded it. But we've got, thousands of volunteers that are working with us, so we just can't list everybody on the filing. Yeah. Good question, though.
So when are you gonna know anything?
So, yeah.
I wanna know too.
Yeah, the letter I got today says we have to have our response sent in by December 5th. And that's all I know.
And when are you trying to get this on a ballot?
Oh, so next year, 2020, it should all work out. Usually
In the
the
spring,
um,
primaries?
well, we don't get to pick. So once all the legal stuff's worked out, which will take a couple of months, then we do signature collection, which will take a few more months. And once we're all done with that, and if there's any other challenges on the back end, I'm sure they'll continue to beg, borrow, and steal to stop it. But once we're successful, the governor picks which election. So depending on timing, could be the June primary, could be August, or November. My guess is November, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, we're ready to get it on the ballot as soon as we can. Yeah. All right, it is a few minutes after 7. Oh no, it's right at 7:01. That clock is fast. Thank you all so much for your time as you come out tonight. This is a beautiful library. This is one of the more beautiful libraries we've been to, I think.